So 249, today we're talking about some standouts in last night's matchup between Colorado and Calgary. And really great game, I thought. A lot of the depth style players of Colorado were able to make an impact on this game, which I think was really important. And because there's times where not relying on guys like Nathan McKinnon, Marty Necas, Cale Makar is actually really beneficial to those guys because they can kind of take a backseat and they can still rely on some of the depth guys to be able to score and provide that impact. And I think that was really important to Colorado's win yesterday, as they got a lot of scoring throughout their bottom nine throughout their lineup, which is really good to see. And starting with Ross Colton, I think he was very effective throughout this game. I think the combination of him with Parker Kelly was really noticeable in terms of how they were creating and how they were forechecking and angling guys off on the forecheck and stuff like that. And they play with a ton of speed. They're very annoying to play against, and they have really good chemistry with one another. I think that's why they stick and stay together on the line is because of that chemistry, and it really allows them to be able to drive play on a regular basis too. And they're just overall very effective. Thought Jack Drury was very effective too. He had an assist in this game, and he was noticeable on and off the puck, making plays and being able to move off the puck in smart areas as a centerman, and was reliable as the F3 guy. Could be the high F3 in the neutral zone and the O zone. And I thought he was doing a good job of adding that pace element to his game and having that rhythm to his game. And he was doing a good job throughout all throughout this game of being able to be above pucks, stay above pucks, and just be active in that regard as well. Sammy Gerard, who is very effective as a transitional defenseman and has been for a majority of his career. I think that's where you get the most impact out of him is his O-zone play and his transition play. He's a guy who likes to be on the offensive side of the puck, likes to be engaged offensively and play a hard-nosed offensive game, really get down the funnel and really attack inside on guys. And he's an undersized D, but he plays a fearless style of game. I think that really allows him to be able to play like he's 6 foot, if not 6'2", and just was very effective. Ryan Lindgren had a goal in this game. He had a really nice shot from the point, and he was noticeable as more of a two-way D. I didn't notice him a ton in transition. I noticed him more on the offensive side in the O zone and in D zone sequences, playing man to man, being able to cover, being able to be physical, box out guys, be active with his stick, be aggressive with his angles and how he's pursuing pucks. And I think he's very effective there and did a good job. Val Nichushkin, who has been playing pretty well as of late, ever since returning from injury. And I thought he was very effective in this game. Once again, he had a goal, and he was just noticeable at being able to use his pace, use his speed, use his outside edges to really accelerate and be able to drive pace through that. And he's obviously a high octane scoring winger, brings a lot of competitiveness and tenacity too. So that certainly helps when talking about him. On Calgary's side, I think Rasmus Anderson was very effective. He had a play, I believe it was in the second period, where he stopped at the net and he tried to whack home a rebound that popped out off the goalie's pad right to him, but he ended up missing the open net. So outside of that, I think he was effective. He was effective in transition. He was effective on the rush. He was effective up ice and just was creating chances and plays a subtle game. He's not very flashy. He doesn't play a flashy puck moving game, doesn't play a flashy defensive game, but he thrives on the offensive side of the puck when carrying pucks, when moving pucks, when being able to make stretch plays and stretch passes, and can be very effective in those realms. And he was really noticeable. Blake Coleman, I really liked his game, and he had a goal, and he was noticeable as a two-way guy who can create both offensively and defensively. I think he's more noticeable defensively as a shutdown style center. But he can bring some offense and chip in when need be. I think he was doing a good job of that throughout this game. Speaking of guys who are kind of somewhat similar in that sense, Matt Coronado, I think he's a guy that's somewhat similar to Coleman in a sense where maybe not the best skater, brings some good foot speed and above average offensive talent, but more of a guy who you can rely upon defensively, shut plays down, be able to get good positioning out of him. The only difference between him and Coleman is that Coronado's a winger as well. So I think Coronado's been effective this year and has continued to make strides in his game and certainly has shown he can be more of an impact top nine player in the league at this stage of his career thus far. And Jonathan Huberdeau, I really liked his game yesterday and it's good to see him slightly get back in a little bit more of the rhythm with Calgary, and I'm hoping to see him eventually get back up to the 100-point scorer they used to be in Florida. I don't know when it's going to happen or if that's going to happen, but I think Hero is in for hopefully a few more big years and hopefully has longer term success. He's just really exciting to watch when he's playing at his best, and I think he makes Calgary better when he's doing so too. He's certainly talented as a playmaker, but he's also really underrated, I think, around the net. I think he's really underrated with his hands there. He's really underrated with his anticipation when to pop off the post or when to anticipate lanes to be able to open up sequences for his teammates and be able to pop out in a timely way around the net. I think his net front ability often gets underestimated because you know that he brings dual threat offensive ability. He can be a rush player, he can be an in zone offensive player, he can maneuver one on guys. And I think because of all those combined factors, he kind of gets a little bit more overlooked when it comes to being able to play the net front. But I think he's really good there, honestly, and I can see why Calgary kind of rotates in and out of him with him and using him there on the power play and other sequences. But I think Huberto is really good around the net front. It just, like I said, it often gets, you don't really notice it as much compared to some of the other aspects of his game. And then Kevin Ball was noticeable as a shutdown D, and I think he's starting to evolve into more of a two-way defenseman who can bring offensive ability too. I think longer term, I think his ceiling is more of a 40 point, 50-point defenseman in the league. I certainly could see him getting to a point where he really rounds out his offensive ability more. I think it's good that he has the defensive part of the game so locked down at this age. I think the other component to him being the best player that he can be is just the offensive ability and really ramping that up, ramping the creativity up and stuff like that. I think longer term it'll be interesting to see what he could be in Calgary or if he stays in Calgary and whatnot. But I think there's still a lot of untapped offensive potential that could be really weaponized, whichever team he's on in the future as well.